All right, hello everyone, welcome. So we got another teaser today, and as has been the fashion with all of these, I figured let's make a video. So here we are. It's getting really close to reveal, right? Like it's so surreal once you start entering the like single digits, right? So now it's 8 days. So Tuesday next week, we're gonna get answers to all these questions that we have, right? But for now, we can still sit here and theorize, so which is super exciting. The new icon, the new, profession icon or elite specialization icon or whatever it is, right? That was just revealed is like it immediately hit me, and there was like, it's crazy because there were so many comments on that post that I like totally I was just like, yep, totally get that vibe, right? But there's a lot of different things that people are kind of going with, and it's really cool. So we're gonna look at it. I do have the other ones pulled up as well because I do want to go through. Someone had listed the order of which like how they were revealed, the last elite specializations, or how always the fashion has been, or whatever, right? Because I guess there's been a trend. I don't think I've ever realized that there was a trend. But yeah, apparently there's been a trend in the way that ArenaNet reveals these elite specializations. And my one thing about that is that I feel like now that we're in a new kind of era of Guild Wars 2 where the expansions are different than what they were before, I feel like they might want to switch that up as well, right? Like it's all about like reinventing the wheel with ArenaNet, right? And they're thinking, okay, we've done for a decade, this is how we did the expansions, this is how we did the reveals, this is how we did blah blah whatever, right? Um So now they're doing the expansions differently. Maybe they're thinking, let's do the teasers differently. Let's do the reveal a little different too. I don't know. But anyways, so let's look at it. Let me pull it up here for you guys. Ooh, this is so exciting. I'm very excited. Okay, so this is the image. It's crazy. So the first thing that I thought of immediately, like this is one of those that's not very, I guess it's abstract in the sense that you can't tell really what it's supposed to represent, right? It looks like blades, right? Like I think when we look at like these little spikes on the bottom, they look like blades, right? These look like somehow like blades. Okay, so one thing that's really, and I like, you have to actually like look at it from far away to kind of see it. So one comment said, "I see a demon face." And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that as well. So for those of you that might not necessarily see what I'm talking about, so if you think of this as a head that's looking straight at you, right? And you take these slits on the side, right? This one right here and this one right here as the eyes, okay? And then these three spikes as like the lower jaw coming up, okay? And then this is kind of like the nose area, and then this is like these longer ones are like these head plates. They're like on in the front of like the head of this demon. So I do see that demon face as well that other people have been talking about. So that kind of led to some people saying like Revenant, right? Revenant with dual dagger, right? Like some people were saying like it's a Revenant because this looks like blades, but it's also a demon face. So people were thinking of like Malik's. There's another reason for that, is because when we look at the at this post, right? we go to the bottom here, and Benevolent over here said that past order has been Mesmer, Guardian, Necromancer, Elementalist, Revenant, Warrior, Thief, Engineer, and Ranger. Okay, this could still be Revenant. So a lot of people are thinking like Revenant, Demon Legend vibes, right? Daggers, Revenant, Ranger with a shield. I was thinking that as well. Like this kind of looks like almost like a shield in a way, right? Like this looks like you would, this is just like this bladed shield or something that you would have. So someone else was saying Ranger, right? I don't know. I'm getting both of those, right? A shield, Ranger, pet, per claws, pet. I guess I mean someone's beard. um, so it like most people are leaning towards Ranger and Revenant. That's exactly what I'm leaning towards. The first time I saw this image, I was immediately thinking of Ranger because the reason it kind of reminded me of the Untamed image, right? The Untamed image being like there's blades coming out. It's almost this mask-like thing. It's like an arrowhead, but it's like, it looks like a face, right? And but it has blades coming out. So I was immediately kind of reminded of the Untamed in that sense. Okay, so that's what I was thinking of. But I do see the little bit of the demon face in there. So could this be a Revenant with dual daggers or just one dagger or something? Like, because we already have swords, we already have great sword. So I don't know, right? Like that's kind of crazy. But yeah, so I was thinking as well, let's kind of go through. So if this is the correct order, and you guys know better, I don't, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't feel the drive to go through and look exactly how the reveals have been, like with the other elite specializations. So if you guys feel inclined to see if Benevolent is correct on this, I'm not sure. But if we go through this and we look at all of the icons that we got, right, which I have them pulled up. So you know, we have the Revenant here, we have the other ones here, or the, you know, whatever what we think is the Revenant, right? So the other ones are all pulled up here. Okay, so the first one would be Mesmer, right? We've already figured that out. That would be the thing, right? Then according to the post, the next one would be Guardian. Okay, so this would be not a warrior, but a guardian, which I guess makes sense. So a lot of people were saying another thing that I don't know if I did mention that at that point when we were talking about this, but people were saying like Seraph, right? Because Seraph have these like winged helmets, right? And Seraphs, like, they have the wing, you know, symbolism on like a lot of, like, if you have like the Seraph shield, for example, that's just like a winged shield, right? So they have that symbolism, obviously being Seraphs being a type of angel, right? But so there's that kind of synergy a little bit, right, with the imagery and stuff like that, with the symbolism and stuff. So this could kind of make sense if we're getting like the Seraph, right? Like, which would be probably more like a, it almost sounds like a palette, like they're going very heavy with like the paladin. I feel like the you know, role that a paladin plays in the game, like Guardian kind of fills that role, but I feel like they might go like even heavier with like having a very defensive, like supporty kind of frontline warrior kind of thing. I don't know. It's like I said, I deal more in concepts than really like coming up with specific mechanics and stuff like that. I always feel like I kind of fail at that point when I come up with these concepts, and you guys can go back and look at the speculations that I have done before, right? I kind of feel like when it comes to the actual like details of the very specific mechanics and stuff like that, I kind of fail a little bit at that point, right? Where I might not be able to think all the way through this mechanic and make it work somehow, you know. So I'm not sure, but anyways, you guys can go back and like, I had one that was kind of like that could kind of fit this, which I called the Phalanx. I talked about that, and you know, if this is Guardian, then that would kind of fit, I guess. So next up, this would be Necromancer. I think is that what the pose? Necromancer. Yeah, so a lot of people were saying Necromancer on this, which is interesting to me. Like, I love that. I think overall, I know there was many other people that were kind of saying like, these look like chakrams, and that could be like an elementalist or whatever, right? Like, there was a lot of different takes on this, right? People were saying that this looks like a globe with a continent on the bottom. That's not what that is. Like, the thing is, you guys need to realize, I think why this is not. The very first time I saw this image, I was thinking of a globe as well. I was thinking this is a continent on the bottom here. That's what's being represented on here. I don't think that's what it is. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If this was supposed to be a globe or a planet or something, it would be perfectly round, and it's not. It's not perfectly round, so I don't think that that's what it is. But if we do Necromancer, that would be very interesting, having like these two souls or whatever like swirling around it. You know, I don't know, like, but I think the majority of people are leaning towards Necromancer nonetheless. Um, and then this one, so this is the one where I'm like, because many people, like, first of all, this is very, like I said, thievy, because theme wise it fits, right? It fits the thief very well. But on top of that, we have the initiative icon that's all throughout these cards. And also, I didn't even point this out, the colors on the outside of the little like diamonds, right, is actually red, which is exactly what the initiative looks like. But if we go by this reveal, it would be the Elementalist. So that's kind of crazy to me, Because if you think about, like, maybe they're doing like an initiative system on the Elementalist or something, like that's how the mechanic is changing, that would be crazy. I still don't know exactly how, because I think the most in my opinion, if I were to sit down and if I were to like be a game developer and this is what I was working on, I was making elite specializations and I had to come up with new mechanics and new skills and new things and weapons and make a whole thing around it, right? I think the most complicated one to me to make something for would be the Elementalist, because the Elementalist has 4 elements that they can swap between. And so many people are asking for a way to only like kind of have like a single element, or kind of be able to like kind of stay in one element and like not have to necessarily change because of the mechanic, right? All the mechanics have been the Tempest, they've kind of leaned towards like, no, you can kind of like park in this one element and you'd be okay in this one attunement, right? But most of the other ones have been like, you want to swap, right? It's all about like, to get the most out of these other, elite specs, you have to like swap your elements, right? And that's always been kind of the thing with the Elementalists, where it's like, oh no, you always want to swap elements, right? If you're low on health, you want to swap into water. If you're looking to like, you know do certain things, you swap into this like specific attunement, right? So having the thought of like, maybe this is an Elementalist spec and they're going to do something with initiative, and maybe like do some way that you can stay in like one element, or have this like arcane thing, right? A lot of people have been asking for like arcane archers and stuff like that. That's been like a huge one that's been asked for since forever now, where people want longbow and like an arcane attunement or whatever. Yeah, I don't know, but it's kind of a wild thought if we think about that being the Elementalist. But this post meaning saying that this is still like a Revenant, right? So I can see this being a Revenant. Like I said, this screams either like Shield, which we already have on the Revenant, a little demony with a demon face. I don't know if this is there's a word for it. I always forget what the word is. There's a word for when you can see faces and certain things that aren't actually faces or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you like. Let me know what you guys think about this. Like I said, I'm leaning towards Revenant or Ranger, one of the two. Do you guys think they're going in the same fashion than they like as they did before, like the exact same way the reveals were? Because I feel like that would be kind of that would be detriment for on ArenaNet's part, because then that would mean that we already know, like, if this turns out to be true, that all of these icons were like, exactly revealed in that same order that they've always been, then I feel like it kind of takes away from the magic. Like the next expansion, if we get elite specializations maybe in another 2 years or something like that, then we already know, as they reveal the icons, we already know which one is which, right? Because I feel like if this is correct, then it kind of settles that debate once and for all, and we'll be like, yep, they did it once again, so this is how it's always going to be. My thing is, like I said, I'm hoping that because this is a new style of expansion model and release model and stuff like that, and this is like a new era, for Guild Wars 2 or whatever, that it's not like that, and that they're kind of throwing a curveball by having people think that's what it is, and they're not saying anything, obviously, but they're just kind of like, nope, you guys were wrong, like, this is all different, and this is a ranger, and, this is a mesmer, and this is a warrior or guardian or something. But it's kind of weird, because like I said, I lean towards guardian before knowing that that's how the reveals were before, because like I said, I think it would be kind of crazy to think that this is just a warrior remake of the helmet icon. Like, that's kind of weird. Again, it kind of feels weird. But yeah, I have no idea. I could totally see this be exactly what they said, except for this one. Like I said, this one is the one that kind of threw me off a little bit, because I feel like it's so specifically thief, but having this be elementalist would be kind of crazy, I think. So, but yeah, anyways, this is going to be it for today. I appreciate you guys very much for watching. Like I said, we do have a Discord server if you guys want to join, and beside that, if you guys want to become members of the channel, I'd really appreciate that. You get like a cool little, I made the little icons myself, but then there's also a few like emojis that you can use. And the more members I get, the more emojis I can have. So if we get more members, I can add. I have like a ton of emojis, which are all actually usable on the Discord server as well, and they're really cute. And they're all my little thumbnails. If you guys have ever seen any of my little owls in the thumbnails, those are my little emojis. So you guys get to use those if you become members. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today, and I'll probably see you guys either tomorrow or Wednesday. Probably Wednesday for another reveal, because like I said, they're probably gonna skip Tuesday. And we'll probably see something on Wednesday. All right, I'll see you guys then. All right, bye.